Greetings and welcome to another episode 3 of the Chronicles of Carla May. Good day to you all. I am so glad that I am here. I'm healthy. I'm giving thanks that you are too. Today's topic is going to be a multi-topic. I'm open to different topics. However, I'm going to focus first on my graduation. I graduated December 11th, 2020 with my PhD in Family Studies and a Master's in Library Science. Today is a special day. I'm doing this episode because it is the Ethiopian Christmas. The Ethiopian Orthodox celebrate their Christmas on January 7th, and they focus in on the three kings who came for the birth of Christ. I remember my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, my father's mom, always opened her gifts on January 7th, and I wondered why she waited until then to do it. But as I got older, I found out, it's representative of the three kings that came to acknowledge the birth of Christ. I also celebrate the birth of Christ in his kingly character, that is, on the 23rd of July. And the 23rd of July is the birth of Haile Selassie I, that I acknowledge as Christ in his kingly and her kingly character, because not only is Haile Selassie I the Most High, there's also the female part of the Most High I acknowledge as Empress Menen. That's the Queen Mother. We call it Mother Nature and Father Time. Well, they represent the creator for me. So when I celebrate the Ethiopian Christmas, I make my own gifts. One of the things that I make are paintings. This is one of my paintings, and I am in the process of painting some more today. This is how I start. I do a sketch. It's hard to see that, but I do a sketch, and then I go ahead and start filling it in. Sometimes I use pastels, and sometimes I use acrylic, or I use watercolor. So I have my easel here, and that's how I do my paintings. I have a watercolor pad that I use to do my watercolors, and I have my art supplies right here, and these are my watercolors that I use. I also use these kind of watercolors too. But then I have my pastels. I always have to have white and blue because I paint a lot of ocean scenes. And then I have my other little colors there. So this is how I give gifts. I know a lot of people spend money on commercial gifts and they consume more than they produce. I have a tendency to want to be in balance with life, so I tend to want to produce as much as I consume. And it's hard when you're in the United States. I'm from the US Virgin Islands, and it's hard when that is happening and you are not able to get the foods that you want or grow certain things that you want to grow. So I always let people know that, when they wish me Merry Christmas on December 25th, I'm like, same to you. And I don't try to bombard my own belief system onto anyone. I just live my belief. I live my lifestyle. I just live it. And I see people celebrate the new year, and that's fine. If you're on that calendar of the 12 months, I'm on a different calendar. I'm on the Ethiopian calendar. That's 13 months. So our new year was September 11th. That's when I celebrate the new year. And if we look at how the sun moves and how the earth is, September is really looked at as the new year in some Jewish religions. So I am not too off when it comes to that, but I respect everybody's faith and their belief. So September 11th is my new year. And I always wish everybody Happy New Year. I count down, when September 10th hits, I'm counting down to September 11th for the new year. And everybody thinks, what is she doing? So I just tend to live my life in a balance, try to have that balance. So for the Ethiopian Christmas, I am going to do a painting, and I wanted to do a painting of my mermaid, my Black Mermaid. And I will be doing this throughout this live feed, and I may not finish. So if I don't finish during the live feed, I will return and show you what the end product is. But the actual painting is a mermaid. It's a sketch. She's on the beach. Okay, she's on the beach and she's looking out. There's nobody there. I'm writing a story about her. I had it copywritten. It's called The Black Mermaid, and it's a novel. And it's I have a series of paintings that's from that story, The Black Mermaid. So I am very much excited about that. So post your questions, comments. I want you to subscribe, do all the things that you do for YouTube. I just got a new subscriber. I want to shout out to you, Fatima, for being part of my channel. Thank you so much. I like the fact that you replied to comments I made on another channel, and that drew you into my channel. So I'm so thankful. Thank you so much. And for those of you who haven't subscribed, subscribe. Click the subscribe button or whatever you do for YouTube. Some of the things I'm not familiar with. I have a PhD in family studies. That does not mean I am knowledgeable about everything. I just know about my topic, family studies. I like to learn more and do more. So I'm always trying to learn something new. It's important because we have to become lifelong learners, and we can't stop at what we were taught. We have to branch out and try to engage with more knowledge from every aspect. So when I look at my life, this is what I have to look at. And the Chronicles of Carla May, it is a podcast. November 2nd was when we premiered. That was the Ethiopian coronation day of Haile Selassie I. And that coronation day was amazing because I painted a acrylic painting, and that I sent out as a gift to one of my viewers. So I was fortunate to do that. And I also talked about my home birthing. That was episode 2. I did have a home birth on the island of St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where I have a family there. We have land, we have beachfront property, my aunt and uncle, and my mom and my dad. So when it comes to property and owning property, it's important to have some land somewhere. So it's important to do that. What I like is the fact that I am very diverse. So when I look at this podcast, I'm looking at different things and topics that we can talk about. The topic of my graduation is a topic that I like to talk about, and because of the fact that it was so hard. I spent almost 10 years. Actually, I graduated from high school at 16. So when I graduated from high school, I went straight into college, and then I dropped out and got married, had a baby, and was a wife. a homemaker, caretaker, and I never finished my education. My advice to you women who are married or who are partnered up, it's important that your partner supports your education, and not you supporting them alone, but they supporting you. This was the case in with me. My goals and aspirations were never supported, so I never finished. Even the past relationships I've had with people, they've always had their goals and I've always helped them with their goals. So I always want to give advice and let people know, if you have a goal, you're a woman and you have a goal, you want to start a business, and you have a partner that's telling you, wait, don't do that, that's crazy. Uh, Say to yourself, wait a minute, let me look at this and try to figure out what I want. Women have always been in the position of taking care of people. We always put ourselves aside for others. So it's important that we put ourselves first. For the new year on September 11th, one of my goals was to put myself first and to give myself that self-care before I do that for other people. So that's important. And I finished my degree. I started it in 2007. I started my Associates of Arts in early childhood, in teaching early childhood. So when I graduated at 16 and I went to college and dropped out and had my first baby, I ended up having a second baby. And then I ended up actually returning to the Virgin Islands and having my third baby at home and divorcing at the same time. So I divorced my husband actually before my daughter was born. So she was kind of birthed out of wedlock. She was conceived in wedlock, but she was birthed out of it. But anyway, that was in 1999. So in the whole 2000, from 2000 to 2010, I was doing cultural arts summer camps. I was performing one-woman shows in Massachusetts at Yale University. I was performing. I was traveling, doing one-woman shows with my newborn baby, breastfeeding her during intermissions, etc. So I basically, from 2000 to 2010 was doing that. And 2007, I enrolled at a college, a community college in Dallas, and I earned my Associates of Arts in Teaching. And with that, I learned so much. I wish I had known when I had my first child, because things would probably have been different. But you live and you learn. So you don't want to beat yourself up about things that happened in the past. You want to keep moving forward and using that as a lesson. So we never want to put the past in front of our future. We have to let that go and use it and pull it out when we need to as a lesson. So I've learned many hard lessons in life, and it's very important that, when we learn these lessons, we can share them and we can maybe help someone else along the way. Because what is our purpose? Just not just for ourselves. So I think that's important. And in 2009, I graduated with my first degree after graduating from high school at 16. And 20 something years later, I got my first degree, my Associate of Arts in Teaching. And then in 2012, I got my bachelor's in interdisciplinary studies, where I was focused on becoming an elementary teacher. So after I graduated with my bachelor's, I went and returned to my home in the U.S. Virgin Islands, to my alma mater, my elementary and junior high school, and I taught second and third grade. Amazing. I had the best time ever teaching, and what spurred me on to get my master's was the love I have for the children. and their families. Children don't learn in isolation. They learn in an environment surrounded by their families and different family members. So I pull those family members and those families into the classroom, and I just learned so much from them. They are the first teachers of children, parents are. So it's important that we engage with them in order to achieve student success. So after seeing that, I wanted to get my master's in family studies. I wanted to study the family and find out what is it that the family's influences, how far does that go? And that took me into child development. It took me into aging in the families, looking at how people age and how, when you are older, what kind of support you have from family members. So it's looking at the human being from beginning all the way from cradle to grave, really. And that's how I have pushed myself to try to learn as much as I can. So after my master's, I said, I'm not going to stop. I want to do research. I want to find out through research what it is that families do that support their children at home, school, and in the community. I want to find this out, right? So I went ahead and I enrolled and applied to the graduate program for the doctoral program in family studies at Texas Women's University. So I completed that. I graduated with my master's in 2015 and enrolled in the doctoral program at the same time. So I spent 5 years in a doctoral program and graduated in 2020 with my PhD in family studies. So right now I have that credential. I'm a published author. I'm a first author on a chapter in a book, a academic publishing. So I'm fortunate that I had that opportunity. And I look at the fact that I graduated during a time, when there was a pandemic and with the highest degree, and just my work has just begun. So as a family engagement specialist, a librarian, educational consultant, a business entrepreneur, my mission is to support and provide support, actually, services to schools as well as research data collection, which is combining my passion for teaching and my passion for books into a business. So I like the fact that I can take my librarianship and my family studies and my elementary education experience and my early childhood development experience and education, put them all together to create an educational app. Yes, I'm creating an app. It's an app for parents and it's an app for teachers. So I'm calling the app Parenting with Pies and Teaching with Pies. PIES is an acronym I created for physical, intellectual, emotional, and social development of children, and how important it is that these areas of development is supported, stimulated, encouraged, and approached in a theoretical and researched, evidence-based research way so that we can get the best and the most production and success out of students. And family is at the core of this. So that's where I come in with all this stuff. So this podcast, this episode number 3, is basically about going through my experiences, my life, and how I have had to struggle and endure. I want to provide not only the educational app, but educational consulting for schools, libraries, community centers, anywhere that's serving children and families. So when I look at family engagement, I have this idea of family engagement roundtable for parents who are enrolling students in schools. So, when you have the meet the teacher or parent parent orientation, for example, this is a perfect opportunity to gather parents in a round table to have a discussion about family engagement and asking them how do they define that? And engaging parents in each child's classroom. So once they meet with each other, then they can go and branch out into their child's classroom. And this can happen 3 times a year. In the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. In the beginning of the year, you want to get to know parents. You want to have them set goals for their children. What are their children struggling with, and what can they do to help them? So this is important. And I always find that children and how they can grow is through our support as adults and as parents. So everyone's just saying, how are you going to fund all this? Well, I'm doing a crowdfunding because in order for me to get my business off the ground, I need working capital in order to print my participant manuals, to print my workshop activities, all these, and to actually have them copywritten and trademarked, because the trainings are trademarked and they're very specific to parents and they're very specific to teachers. So teachers who are looking for professional development, for their resumes, and they're looking to learn something new, this is where I come in. So crowdfunding, Kickstarter, all of those, I am looking to raise $27,000 working capital for the following: for promotional materials, to get the accountant so that they can prepare all my financials for the business, and to renew the business license, because I started the business in 2019, September, and then 2020 was basically finishing up my PhD and researching the business, looking at my competitors, looking at the marketing, looking at the educational apps and how they're created. So all that time was used to do that. So there was no income coming in for the business. So now that the business is getting to the business license to be renewed and all that, I am reaching out to everybody to do some crowdfunding so that this can really take off. So the crowdfunding, like I said, I have a Kickstarter. I'm going to implement that and have the ability to raise at least $27,000 to use as working capital for my business. And this is how it has to work, because it's hard for Black women in business to get loans. It's hard for Black people to get anything, much less loans to do a business and be an entrepreneur. So I have to reach out other ways. If you know of someone who wants to invest in my business and who wants to invest in this educational app that's going to take off, it's going to be an in-app purchase where you can purchase it on any phone device, any laptop. And it's specific. It's specific for parents. They get to create a pie plate for their child, depending on their age. And each age of a child, there's specific developmental aspects that are happening with that child. And sometimes parents are confused or they don't know. Sometimes they call it names like the terrible twos, or, the children are just what they call in the first round disgusting, and that's not the case. Children are going through things and they're learning. Everything that you do, they are soaking it up. So how can we help them? And research has shown that there are things that you can do. And this is where I come in. So with that being said, I am not only celebrating my graduation, I'm celebrating the Ethiopian Christmas. I'm also celebrating my business, Negus Education World Specialist. Yes, Negus, Negus. Negus means king. education is king, basically. And why I say education is king is because it is a royal experience, and it should be a royal experience. It should be, when a child leaves a classroom, they should leave with an inspiration that I am somebody. Okay. They should not leave the classroom with the idea or the feeling that they are nothing. They should leave the classroom with the idea in their mind that they can achieve whatever it is that's put in front of them. And even if it's hard, it's a challenge and it's fun. So we want to make it that way. I always, even if I'm substitute teaching, I have to know the children's name. That first day I'm in there in that classroom substitute teaching, for example, I get to know everybody's name, and people are shocked. The children are even shocked. They're like, how do you know my name already? I just said it once. Because I am connecting with the child, and it's authentic connection. It's not a fake connection where I'm like, okay, hi, Peter. And then I'm like, what's your name again? So it has to be authentic and honest and real, especially when you're working with children. So with that being said, I think it's important that we, as teachers, as parents, as educators, we embrace the fact that the children are in our care and that they are needing to be pushed. So for the Ethiopian Christmas, I'm trying to see how I can share my this, but okay. I'm kind of getting new to all this YouTube and streaming and trying to share screens, etc. And I'm still learning that. So let's see if we can do this watercolor painting here. So I have my watercolors, okay? And if you answer the right, if you answer correctly for a question I'm going to ask, you can get this painting sent to you, okay? Framed and ready to go. So I have my brushes, and they're already in water soaking. They're already in water soaking. So what I do, I like to basically do the sky first and then go in with her body. So this is like the water out far away. So you want to make that darker than the rest. So for example, I go like this. Okay, I don't know if y'all can try to make y'all see it. So I just got some new brushes. So we just do it like that. So we do the outline of her. I like to do the outline of her because it's easier to do it that way when you have watercolor. Okay, so I'm just going to type this, and I'm going on Facebook. Okay. Oops. Okay. So I'm live. And those of you who are on Facebook, you can hook up to my channel. Usually I go live on Facebook, but it's too complicated at this point to hook up and get it all going. So I have to learn that part. We want now watercolors are pretty cool because you can actually do shading really good with your watercolor. So you see how I'm shading? You can shade it that way. Okay. So I always encourage you to try it out at least. So for the Ethiopian coronation day, I did a painting. I was live the whole day. And somebody got it. Somebody won it. And if you want to win this one, subscribe. So I like to do kind of waves because I'm from the island. I'm from a island, and I really enjoy painting beaches, beach scenes. And the watercolor soaks into the paper really good, actually. It soaks into the paper really, really good. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Okay, and I like to do the sand. Okay, the sand on here. So I work with watercolors, not that much. I like to work with acrylic more so. But the watercolors are pretty good. Now, these episodes are actually an hour long. So we're at 34 minutes now. So once we get to an hour, I close out. I close out the live. Okay. So we have kind of like her hand here. Okay, let's go to some blue and do on that side now. And I like to use a bigger brush to get the more of it out, like this. And I don't have, so we get lighter as we go. We get a little lighter here. Okay, I heard a knock on the door.